Hey guys, my name is Nikki Fredrikson, and on this edition of Meet the Wolfpack, I am joined by Volleyball's very own Kaitlin Lomas. Kaitlin, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, no problem. Always happy to do it.
So, Kaitlin, what classes are you taking this semester?
I'm a psychology major, so I have 4 psychology courses, upper level courses. It's visual processing, personality psychology, conditioning, and behavioral disorders, and then I'm also in an Aboriginal Canadian literature class as a second-year English.
Holy, so a lot to balance. How do you juggle your school schedule and your volleyball schedule?
Well, I make my class schedule around my practice time so that I make sure I can make practices and stuff, and it's just, I've been doing this for so long, like all through high school and stuff, it comes naturally, I'd say, at this point.
Yeah.
Any free time that you have, you're thinking about stuff that you have to get done ahead of time, or like, for example, I know that I have 4 exams and 2 papers due next week, so I'm getting those papers done now so I can start studying over the weekend and stuff for exams, and been working on catching up on notes and stuff that you miss in class and all that kind of stuff.
A lot.
Yeah.
So, what is your favorite course you're taking?
Favorite course right now, I'd say, is probably personality psychology. Just because the prof, that's his specialty, so he's really, really into it and has lots of great anecdotes for us from his personal experience and just people that he knows that are doing research in the field, so that's really interesting. It's also very applicable to your life to be self-diagnosing, I guess, is what happens a lot in psychology, but to be like, oh man, I have that attachment style, that's why I'm like that. So,
Very cool. So what is your long-term career goal?
After my undergrad, I'm planning on doing a master's in sports psychology and then pursuing sports psychology either with individual athletes or probably with teams, because that's the dynamic that I'm most familiar with. So,
okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. So what is it like being on this year's volleyball team? Because it's a little bit of a younger mix this year.
Yeah, it's exciting because we have great incoming players, 7 new players. Is interesting at the beginning, trying to establish those connections, especially as a middle, establishing connections with 2 new setters has been a process throughout this, but we're starting to get that, and that's really exciting. And you can see the depth that we have on this team, that as an older player, if I'm struggling, I feel comfortable having new players come in and take my spot for a bit, give me a break, help me refocus, and I know that they'll do well on the court and that they'll try their hardest in their push. And everyone's just pushing each other and fighting for spots, and the growth so far in the season, just mentally and strategically and all that, is coming so quickly, and it's really nice.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So when you're not playing volleyball, what could we find you doing? What do you do in your free time?
My free
time that you have as a student athlete.
Well, I'm also a PACE leader this year, so
awesome.
I do a little bit of work with PACE, Monday nights and then weekly meetings and stuff. Tim and I are running the Facebook page for PACE, so I'll get some likes on that.
Can you explain to us what PACE is for anyone who's not familiar with it that's watching?
Okay, PACE is the PAC Academic Edge, so that is a peer-led kind of tutoring study group time that we do Monday nights from 3:30 to 8. There's 7 PACE leaders from different sports, and we're all upper-level students. We each have a specialty, so some people are better, more knowledgeable, I'd say, in sciences and math and business, or for me at psychology and arts and writing. Everyone's pretty capable of helping people with writing, but students come in to HOL on Monday nights, and they do their studying. Any questions they have on assignments, or if they want us to read over a paper, then we help them with that, or direct them to other student support services within TRU.
That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Very cool. And so with Wolfpack, all the teams are pretty community involved. Mm-hmm. With volleyball, what has been your favorite community event that you've had to go to?
Of all the community events that we do, Toys for Kids is definitely one of my favorites. Just because you go there and you interact with the community very heavily. There's families that come in there, they'll bring their kids and go for breakfast, or there's usually some kind of youth choir or a drama group or whatever that do a little performance there. The food is always great, Hotel 540, and then to just see the generosity of the community bringing in all the mountain of toys that we get to sort through. And that's always fun. Just, oh yeah, this is sweet, I would have loved this as a kid. And like, this is such a great idea, donating that. And oh wow, some kid's gonna love this hockey stick. And just loading all those toys up, putting them in the vans, getting them shipped, knowing they're going to a good place. That's always very heartwarming.
Now, speaking of generosity, you this past spring donated your hair. Can you tell me about why you decided to do that and just about going through that process?
Well, I've always had like long hair. Like it's never been past my shoulders my whole life. So then I was kind of looking at a change and like, okay, maybe I'll chop it all off. And like, why wouldn't you donate that hair if you're not using it? Someone could need it. And it was 11 inches of hair gone. So that's a significant donation to people who would appreciate it.
Yeah. That's very, very cool of you. That's awesome. Do you think you would do that again, probably? Like, once your hair grows out again? And...
Yeah, probably. Anytime I would chop off, like, I think the minimum donation is 5 or 6 inches or something. So then anything that I would chop off that could be donated, then why not?
Yeah.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
Exactly. Now, I heard a rumor that you are quite the cook. Is that true?
I do really enjoy cooking.
Yeah.
And, that is, speaking of free time, something that I do a lot in my free time is like meal prep or just getting prepared for the week, and also just looking up recipes. If I find anything on Facebook that's like, oh, this is like sweet new recipe or new cooking technique or something like that, that I'm really interested in that, and experimenting with different foods is always really fun.
Cool. Do you have like a signature dish that you always make?
I do love making like vegetable skillet scrambles and then putting like eggs in them and baking them in the oven or whatever. So just lots of veggies and eggs and stuff. It's great like after morning practice, and
yeah. Nice. Awesome. And you're from Alberta, correct?
Yes.
So how was it adjusting, like coming so far to TRU?
It wasn't too hard of an adjustment for me just because I've always been really independent, and I knew coming out of high school that I wanted to get away from home, break out of my shell, like go somewhere completely new. So my original plan was like if I didn't get a volleyball offer in Canada, then I'd go to school in Europe or something, because cool. Why not?
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you? So coming over here was exciting, I'd say, more than scary, and Kamloops is a very welcoming culture, and it helps especially be part of athletics and part of a team. You have this instant group of friends and an instant community that helps you get involved in the greater community. So you always just feel very welcomed.
That's awesome. Now, if you could give one piece of advice to a new athlete, what would it be?
I'd say to ask questions when you're unsure about things. Ask questions of your coaches, of your teammates, of other people in your classes, of your profs, because those things that you're unsure of, someone probably has an answer for, and you might be struggling unnecessarily in a certain area, or if you need help like establishing a game day routine, or help with your nutrition or what to eat, or how to balance your life better, then definitely ask people, like get advice from other people.
Awesome. Well, Kaitlin, I know you're probably super busy, so we will let you go, but thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
This has been Meet the Wolfpack with Kaitlin Lomas.